when Molly started singing, my wife turned to me and said, "Josh Groban," and I said, "No, Molly Hammer." Just every moment of the strange and wonderful life from dawn to dusk is a miracle. Somewhere, always, a rose is opening its petals to the dawn. And somewhere, always, a flower is fading in the dusk. The incense that rise with the sun and the scents that die in the dark are all gathered sooner or later into that solitary fragrance that is God. And faintly, elusively, that fragrance lingers over all of us. These were the opening words of a memorial service that we did on Monday. And I don't know, in my almost 38 years as a Unity minister, how many memorial or funeral services that I have done. And they've run the gamut. They've been people that I've known, people that I've known really well, people that I've known less well, and people that I didn't know at all. And they've run this gamut of being very, very special and very powerful, all the way to being just a service. I'm reminded on this end of the scale of a memorial service I did for Harry. Bless his heart, literally. He died of a heart attack. I didn't know Harry at all. And my wife and I were getting ready to leave town, and the funeral home called up and said, "Can you stop by here at 11 o'clock today and do a memorial service?" And I thought, well, sure, it's only way, way out of our way, but we can do that. And I said, "But I don't know Harry." And they said, "Well, we'll have the obituary for you." So I didn't get a chance to meet with family or anything, and so we drove up to Paulsbo, Washington, a little tiny chapel in Paulsbo, Washington, about the size of our Peace Chapel. And they had no microphone. And like many funeral home chapels, they had a family room off to the side, which is a place where family and relatives can sit, and it has a curtain right in front of it. And so I started the service, and I started looking at the obituary, because that's all I had to go by about Harry, and started reading it, and I heard this voice. "Who's he talking about?" No, it's coming from behind the curtain. "Harry, Ma, it's Harry." Harry? Harry wasn't nice. He was the dirtiest, nastiest SOB I've ever known. That service will live long in my memory. And then there's this end of the spectrum, and the service that we did on Monday. And it was very meaningful. It touched me in ways that I had no idea that it was going to touch me. It was different. And it's been on my mind ever since I did the service. And I was trying to think, why is this one so different? Why did it touch me so deeply? And as I was thinking about it, I was thinking, well, maybe it's because my mom, who passed just before Christmas, and 1 month from today, we'll be in Paulsbo, Washington, where Harry's service was, and we'll be doing Mom's memorial service with the family. So I think, maybe that's why it touched me so deeply. Or maybe it's because Alita and I just had a really, really good friend of ours pass, Anita, and we didn't know about it soon enough to be able to go to the service, but gosh, she was diagnosed 6 months ago with cancer, and I know cancer no longer means an automatic death threat for people, because my wife's a living example of that. But 6 months she had, and I miss her. I just think of the wonder that Anita was. So maybe it's memorable for me for those reasons, but I don't think so. This woman that I officiated the service at, Evelyn Bartlow, has made a lasting impression on me. And as I thought about Evelyn, I thought about how one person can change the world in which she lives. One single person. Some of you may have known Evelyn. Some of you were here for the service. Others of you have no idea who I'm talking about. I think I got to know Evelyn best, and I knew Evelyn. She and I would talk, and she would bring me materials. She'd been in Unity a long, long time. But I really got to know her through her family. And I really got to understand the depth that this woman had because of her family. Here was a woman who absolutely lived the truth as she knew it. She was in Unity for a long time. Here's a woman, she was a dancer, a florist, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and a woman who changed lives. Some of her family are here today, right now. You know, Evelyn volunteered a lot. She volunteered in Unity. And this is not another memorial service for Evelyn, but I just want to share with you how this one person changed my life. She volunteered in Unity. She volunteered in Girl Scouts. I have never had a memorial service like this where we had people, guests, come up front and start singing. And that's how it was at this memorial service. The family had asked for 3 pieces of music, 2 of which were sing-alongs. One, Walking as the Light, because Evelyn loved kids, and that's the song we sing when we bring kids in. But Evelyn volunteered with the Girl Scouts and had such an impact on Girl Scouts that one of the other sing-alongs that they wanted was Make New Friends, which is a Girl Scout song. How many of you were in Girl Scouts? Or yeah, look at this. So as the sing-along, part of the sing-along, and we didn't know if anybody would do this, they asked me to invite Girl Scouts and former Girl Scouts just to come to the front right here to lead everyone else in Make New Friends. So I extended the invitation, and there was a moment of silence. And then one person came up, and then another, and then there were 2, and then there were 3. And there were 4 coming up, and the whole front was filled with Girl Scouts and former Girl Scouts singing Make New Friends. It touched my heart deeply. What a special experience. And what a special woman Evelyn had to bring out this in other people. Here she was, this positive influence. And as I listened to the eulogies, as I listened to the families, as I listened to friends, we had an open mic, and I listened to friends, and I listened to the Girl Scouts, I realized that here was a living example of the truth that we teach in this ministry. She was absolutely unconditional love. That's what she did. She just shared who she was, this loving essence, with everyone with whom she came in contact. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, you know, here's a person who has changed the world. Because as she shared her love with her family, that family shared their love with other people. And those people shared love with other people. And how one person's living example can change the world in which we live. She was a very positive influence, and she grew up in an experience that could have made her a very negative person, but she wasn't. So she lived this positive, love-filled life. And it touched me deeply. So I began to think about my life. You know, it's so easy to look back on our lives and see the things that we didn't do. The title of today's talk is I Didn't. And when we came up with the talk, it was really going to be a play on the words I do because of the vow renewal service we're going to be doing later. And the things, you know, we thought, well, maybe we can do the things we haven't done in our relationship. But as I thought about the I didn'ts, it took on a whole new meaning for me because of Evelyn. I started thinking of all the I didn'ts in my life. Maybe the love I didn't share with other people. Maybe the forgiveness that I didn't extend to other people. You know, I was thinking about one man in particular who did something that I thought was absolutely horrible to me. Absolutely horrible. It ended up being the best thing in my life, but at that time I just thought it was horrendous. And I never said thank you. I never forgave him. And gosh, several months ago he committed suicide. I was thinking, what a sad experience, and I wish I would have had a chance to talk to him. I think about the things I didn't have time for. Have you ever thought about the things you don't have time for? The things that you really, really should do? I try not to do guilt. I don't believe in doing guilt. So I really don't want to feel guilty about the things that I didn't do, but I want to reflect back on my life and see the things that I could do differently starting right now. I know many of you know Irma Bombeck. Just a wonderful, wonderful writer. And Irma Bombeck wrote a piece that I know many of you are familiar with. It was written before she passed, obviously. It was written after she found out she had a fatal disease. And I'd just like to share with you the words of Irma Bombeck. If I had my life to live over, I would have talked less and listened more. I would have invited friends over to dinner, even if the carpet was stained and the sofa faded. I would have eaten the popcorn in the good living room and worried much less about the dirt when someone wanted to light a fire in the fireplace. I would have taken the time to listen to my grandfather ramble about his youth. I would never have insisted the car windows be rolled up on a summer day because my hair had just been teased and sprayed. I would have burned the pink candle sculpted like a rose before it melted in storage. I would have sat on the lawn with my children and not worried about grass stains. I would have cried and laughed less while watching television and more while watching Life. I would have shared more of the responsibility carried by my husband. I would have gone to bed when I was sick instead of pretending the earth would go into a holding pattern if I weren't there for the day. I would never have bought anything just because it was practical, wouldn't show soil, or was guaranteed to last a lifetime. Instead of washing away 9 months of pregnancy, I'd have cherished every moment and realized that the wonderment growing inside me was the only chance in life to assist God in a miracle. When my kids kissed me impetuously, I would never have said later, "Now go get washed up for dinner." There would have been more "I love yous," more "I'm sorries," but mostly, given another shot at life, I would seize every minute, look at it, and really see it, live it, and never give it back. The words of Irma Bombeck. So, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about, while I'm still here on this earthly plane, what can I do differently? What can the I-dos be in my life? What's really important in my life? At this stage in my life, I have fewer years ahead of me than I have behind me. And so what message, what kind of living example do I want to leave to my wife, children, grandchild? And I was thinking about this when my daughter called me and said it was my grandson's birthday, which is actually today, and we celebrated it yesterday. And she said, we're inviting all his best friends from school over to celebrate this birthday. He's in first grade. And they're going to do Jedi training. We're making lightsabers for each one, and they're going to learn how to be Jedis. And would you dress up as Darth Vader? Think about it. What kind of memories do I want my grandson to have? And I thought, absolutely I will dress up as Darth Vader, because I want him to remember that I'd be willing to do that. Just a warning, if you give 12 first graders lightsabers and you're Darth Vader, it can hurt. So what actions do I want to take in my life to support this unconditional love? As we mentioned several times, we're doing vow renewals today, and we have, I think, 5 or 6 couples whose vows we are renewing today. And it's a time when they are making a recommitment to love, to love. And my wife asked me a question earlier, and I've just had a little time to think about it. So yeah, would you renew your vows with me when we do this at 12:30? Yeah. Okay. We're going to renew our vows too. So I'm really looking forward to this service. Some of the couples have been married a long time. Some have been married a very short time. But here are people who are recommitting to love, recommitting to being unconditional love in their lives. These couples are taking a stand for love. And by the way, the couples have invited all of you back at 12:30. If you want to come back and witness the vow renewal, just come back in here at 12:30. We'll all be here. You don't have to bring gifts. But I'm really excited about this service because it is a commitment to love. I've noticed how much the world likes to focus on those things that are unlike love. Have you noticed that? I went on the website. I don't get the paper, so I went on the website on Thursday just to see what the headlines were for Kansas City. And so, I want to share some of those headlines from the Thursday Kansas City Star. Perhaps my favorite headline: half-naked runners will tie up downtown traffic. Yeah, I'm thinking. And, there were a few murders, but, we have so many who really pays attention to those anymore. We have local governments trying to say that it's okay not to serve the gay and lesbian community, and they're saying it has absolutely nothing to do with not being inclusive. It has to do with religious freedom. I mean, really. Really. Yeah. We have politicians who are admitting to doing wrong things, and it's become much too commonplace. Where is the love in all of this? The world in which we live is an angry world, and we've got to stop it. You and I have got to stop it right now. I don't know about you, but I have made a firm commitment to embrace love. I've made a commitment to move away from the what is wrongs in life, to really move into the what is right in life, into the joys of the world. I don't have room in my life anymore to look at what is wrong. There's too much love that I need to share. And when I run out of love to share, it's going to be time for this soul to move on to its next experience in living. Look at your life. What headlines are in your life right now? Are you living in the what is wrongs? It's so easy to be in the what is wrong group because you don't have to do anything. You just sit there and look around you and say, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. It's so easy to complain and not do anything. If you're part of that, if those are your headlines, then stop it. We really don't have room in our lives for that kind of thing anymore. Or maybe you like to look at the if onlys. If only I had done this, my life would be different. If only I had won the lottery. And God, if I win the lottery, I promise I will tithe to the church. How many, I hear that all the time, and I pray for you. If onlys. Those if onlys are over. They're finished. So stop it. Guilt. How many of us are feeling guilt over something? Well, it's time to let that guilt go. Stop it. There's a powerful statement that I try to use a lot, and one I invite you to take with you is just, I don't do guilt. And when you have that person in your life who comes to you and they try to make you feel guilty because you didn't do something, just say to them, I don't do guilt. It stops them like that. I don't do guilt. Right now, this is what your life is about right now. We're starting right now. Right now is the point of all power in your life, this very moment. You and I have got to go out and we've got to break the cycle of anger and fear and guilt and resentment. We've got to follow in the example of people like Overland and just be living expressions of unconditional love. We've got to go out and we've got to follow in the teachings of Jesus. Jesus said to love your neighbor as you love yourself, but then he went on to say a little later, that's not good enough. He said, you've got to go out and love as I have loved you. You've got to love with absolutely unconditional love, with no judgment. Peter and Jesus were walking along side by side, and Peter said to Jesus, how often do I need to forgive? And Jesus said, 7 times. And Peter said, 7 times? But what if I still can't forgive. Then 14 times. And Peter said, 14 times? Well, Jesus said, no, you need to forgive 70 times 7. 490 times until forgiveness reaches out and touches those people that you are forgiving. We have a new start in our life right now. But right now is the point of the power. We've got to start today. Today is the day we experience the unconditional love. And I'm going to tell you, nobody can do it for you. Absolutely nobody can do it for you. If you want to sit in that circle of negativity, well, stop it. If you want to get out of that circle of negativity, go to our website. Bring up Brandon Nagel's talk from last week. It was an amazing talk about moving beyond the negative people. And I would just say to you, don't be one of them. Don't be one of those negative people. Listen to the teachings of Jesus. So as I think back in my life, I have some thank yous that I want to share today. I want to thank my mother. My mother was a living example of unconditional love. Mother, as a grandmother, as a great-grandmother, as a unity minister, she was amazing. I want to thank Anita, the woman who passed, this friend of ours, who worked behind the scenes in everything that she did. People didn't know all the things that she did, but she was such an expression of love in everything that she did. And I want to thank Evelyn. Evelyn touched my heart so deeply, she and her family. And I was thinking of how could I best thank Evelyn. And I was reminded of the memorial service. And there was one song that the family really wanted as part of the memorial service. So I talked to Fred and I asked if we could bring in the greatest pianist we know to play this song. And Fred said, yeah, he'd get in touch with him. And so as a thank you to Evelyn, we have brought in that pianist. And we're going to play that song that we played at the memorial service. Fred?